Hiya, I'm a Zamen and I ran a persona, so let's dive into it. Last time, the party did a few things, like Aki becoming a vigilante, Batgirl dying, Leo got the tank working, Felicia made some friends, Stallion didn't really do much, and there was this weird angel who put Leo and Felicia through actual hell. We also met another persona user who liked to mask up, and along the way they overcame the next dungeon, which was being controlled by this guy Nathan. But don't worry, he got beat, and then the party, like any rational person would, locked him up inside one of the spare rooms of their empty aircraft hangar. Yeah, this game is pretty grounded. So, the current date is November 14th. Yesterday they beat Nathan, and on this day they didn't do much. They tried talking to their captain Nathan, but he was out cold mumbling something about Polaris. It probably didn't mean much. So they just left him to rot without food and water until he would awaken. They did make sure to tell Joe, the guy who lives in the hangar, to let them know if Nathan's door started making any noise. The next day, Leo did something of value, but nothing too major. He was getting brain scans of Leah, himself, and I think Aki? You see, Leo was working on creating life, so he needed this new being to be based off of the people who had value. More on that later. That unimportant tidbit over, let's jump over to Monday, November 17th, where instead of focusing on our cast, we're gonna focus on a new young man. This white-haired gentleman is not Skye's long-lost brother, he is Desmond Vautrin, our replacement for Lucia, who, if you recall from over a year ago, drowned in a pool. Upon entering, Desmond encounters Copadon, the student council president who helps him fill out a few school forms. As a person, Desmond is dry, dead inside, and disinterested in most things. However, the final form captures his attention. It's a blue document that merely reads, "You will accept responsibility for all of your actions over the course of the next year," which he signed without a second thought, sealing his fate. Desmond is then given a tour of the school by Aki and Felicia because they are on the student council. Things seem to start well because at this stage Desmond is just quiet and very much a go-with-the-flow kind of guy, so he, Aki, and Felicia get along just fine. Stallion isn't here because his player was working and was therefore late, and Leo isn't a part of the student council. Desmond gets shown the clubs and takes interest in the swim team, where he encounters Cameron, the rather feminine but still male captain, though Cameron's a guy who's easily amused and ends up taking a liking to Desmond's dryness, seeing it as a challenge to get him to react. Then, after finding out that Desmond's secretly jacked, because he put a lot of his stat points into athletics during care creation, so he was the second physically strongest person on the cast, Cameron then offers him a spot on the team, which Desmond accepts, gaining the first rank of the Star Arcana. After school, the party are then informed that Desmond will be moving into the dorms with them. The party, after a bit of back and forth, decides to all help Desmond move in, mainly as a way to get to know him, since they'll be living together going forward. Once nightfall comes, the party bids farewell to Skye. She had no interest in getting to know Desmond, and was heading out to watch a midnight showing of Featherman Emblem, a record of war. Much to Aki's pain, who really thought that tonight he could hang out with Skye. At about midnight, the party, having helped Desmond organize his stuff, starts to head to bed, when they feel the world start to shift and everything comes to a stop, as the Jester emerges from the bathroom, with his persona, Dogda, looming behind him. Desmond is still in his room, so the party engages in conversation with Jester, who says, "So, you lot killed the demon. Good work, that's another one off the list. Almost impressed at how quick you all were."
I was motivated.
Good. Real good. Just one issue. The golden bug. Where is it? Wasn't there. For the second time now. Bug? Why would we care about a bug? We have better things to do. Oh, shut it. Don't give me that crap. I know when someone enters the dungeon and leaves, and you lot were always the first to enter, followed by the original user. Hell, you even partnered up with him. So, either you lot have it, or the original has it. And if the original has it, I'm willing to bet that you're partners. Listen, we don't have your bug, so get out of here, bug boy. Then in that case, forget about the next demon and go kick the original's ass. Get the bug from him. No! Screw that. Why do we even need to keep doing this stuff for you? Because I said so. In that case, I'll take the first shot. Having seen where this was heading, Leo skipped the preamble and decided to attack first, shooting Jester in the chest and sending him to the wall. At the attack, Jester groaned and dusted himself off. Figures. It was only a matter of time before your lot rebelled. Can't outsource forever. Good thing I have a backup and took the liberty of ganking me a few shadows. To me, the Jokers! Suddenly, the dorm is swarmed by exactly 16 masked, almost bestial men and women who lurch through the open windows. I should mention, the dorm is on the 3rd floor, so they were climbing. After their past experience in the dungeons, the party is able to materialize their personas in the distorted real world. So, they took the fight to the Jokers, who, while initially overwhelming, are slowly routed. However, if you'll recall, there's a person in this dorm without a persona. The new guy, Desmond. Back in his room, his window is suddenly smashed open as 3 Jokers climb onto his abode. One leaps onto Desmond, hitting him to the ground, while the others crawl around on the ceiling, charging up magical attacks from their mouths. While wrestling with the creature, Desmond hears a voice in the back of his head.
Pitiful, is it not, to face impossible odds without the faintest hope? Will you despair as this misfortune overtakes you, or will you struggle with all of your pitiful soul? Answer me, what do you choose?
I don't want to die yet.
In that case, a contract has been formed. Thou art I, and I am thou. From the sea of thy soul I cometh. I am Hoius, a titan of mind that remains eternally bound.
A persona then appears and casts Mamudo, a spell of darkness that erases the Jokers, reducing them to dust in the wind. Aki then bursts in, having remembered Desmond's existence, but sees the enemy gone, and a new persona. He sighs and then says, "You're one of us now. Sorry." The pair regroups with the others, and together they all manage to eradicate the Jokers, who all dissolve into a black paste. The damage to the dorms is pretty noticeable, and their battle did cause quite a ruckus, so within 10 minutes the police are already on the scene. When questioned about what happened, Felicia and Aki are the first to respond. Felicia says it was a stalker. Aki says it was a wild animal. Stallion and Leonidas chime in with, "Both. It was both." And Desmond ties it all together. Yeah, the stalker had vicious growling dogs or something. We didn't really get a good look at them. Which kind of worked because the dorms were covered in claw marks thanks to the Jokers moving around on all fours. And there were 2 broken windows, one from the Joker that had broken into Desmond's room, and another from a window where Aki had thrown a Joker out. So entrance and exit were established. The end result of this incident causes the dorms to get a police chaperone stationed. And because it's a small town in a story, the officer ends up being Officer Amelia, because recurring characters. Over the next few days, the party returns to normalcy. On Wednesday, Stallion brings up how they haven't had a school dance or a fun event. He's reminded by Copadon that we were gonna hold a Halloween dance last month, but the tropical storm forced us to cancel. So all the decorations we bought are just in gym storage for next school year. It's a huge waste. And hearing that, Stallion decides that they should just have the school dance at the end of this month in 2 weeks. Call it the Gula, and get people hyped up about it in record time. Being persuasive and the most charming on the cast, he convinces everyone to go along with it. And thus the next few days are filled with purely the cast pulling double duty for setup. Oh, and Desmond gets roped into this to help Copadon set things up by putting up the decorations, and even uses that swim team connection to get Cameron to help out as well. So for the next week or so, Desmond builds up his social links with those 2. Leo ends up helping out by passing out flyers for the events. Felicia goes door to door asking if people want to hear about their Lord and Savior Gula. Stallion just gets to work organizing the whole event and how it'll look. Skye helps out, and Aki meanwhile has a bigger task on his plate, getting a date. His preferred pick is Skye, but she's busy and he can't get a moment with her, so instead Aki just dedicates himself to refining the big sword Atlas. Jumping to Thursday, the 20th, only one thing of importance happens in this day. Stallion, before going home in the evening, decides to hang out with Old Man Winchester. Maybe today he'll finally get more than a single word response. Which he does end up hearing, though only from an outside perspective, as when he arrives, Old Man Winchester's social link is being advanced by Skye. Like I've been saying, I'm just not sure. I know he's been acting weird. I've known him for like 3 months now. I even had a hunch back when I met him and his friends, and earlier this month it was pretty obvious. But now, I'm not sure what to do. Should I say something, make the first move, and strike? Or wait for him so I can counterattack?
Slow down, kid. You already answered your own question. Don't wait. Otherwise, they'll just walk away. The same thing happened to my son years ago. If I did something, anything sooner, maybe we wouldn't have fought and would still be on speaking terms. Ugh.
Yeah, your son is definitely getting into a ton of fights. Back then he was, because you know, I'm sure he's an upstanding police, and all that, right? Yeah. Old Man Winchester just stared at her, confused. Yeah, that's my cue to leave. The new episode of Featherman R is on in 20 minutes. So, bye. I'll see you around, Mr. Winchester. Bye. I already said that. Stallion then spent his time with Mr. Winchester in pure silence. No questioning whatsoever. And the day came to an end. But, as the party slept, they found themselves transported back to the eerie golden world. But this time, they weren't the only ones. To their left is the Jester, while to the right is Q. All of them stood before the entity known as the World, though they appear as Stallion wearing an odd mask, who immediately begins to speak.
Greetings, fifth sons of man. I have called you all here once again to congratulate each of you. And by this point, each of you has met each other in one way or another, each with your own accomplishments. The outsiders have once again bested a demon that resides in the heart of man, albeit with the aid of the Fool, who later succeeded in slaying the essence of a demon once more, all while the Jester continues to build his own power.
What does that mean? The heart and the essence of a demon. And how is the Fool, you called them, how are they different from us?
Your group rends the demon from the human heart. At the end of each dungeon, you face both the human who created it and the demon who powers the human. Together they are strong, but the human limits the demon, and when defeated the human falls, while the demon seeps into the dungeon, growing without end. The Fool has taken it upon themselves to truly destroy each demon, leading to their impeccable growth.
So Q's just been doing cleanup for us?
Yes, the Fool in their time has slain the demons Jezebel, Angra Manu, Baal, and Polaris, though when you outsiders combated the humans with the hearts of demons, they were Ahriman, the nameless god, and Canopus.
Okay, so there's 2 big demon fights in each dungeon. One against the merge demon and the human, then one against just the demon. Okay, but that's 4 demons. We've only beaten 3 big demons.
Moving on, I must say it is exuberant to see the official and unofficial players gathered. It sets the stage for the Day of Misfortune.
You keep bringing that up. Day of Misfortune this, Day of Misfortune that. What is that? Like, specifically. And is that happening anytime soon? I'm talking like next week, next month? Or is this like some cosmic scale dealio where it'll happen in 1,000 years or something?
I shall allow my left hand to elaborate.
To which an angel with black wings descended from above, appearing before the party. Mastema. Upon seeing him, both Felicia and Leonidas reach for weapons they currently do not have. Seeing their response, Mastema merely smirked, and then explained,
Outsider insects, hear me now. For in less than 3 months, chaos shall erupt. Reality will unfurl as misfortune. Bad luck will expand to such a degree that everything that can go wrong will go wrong. And in that chaos, this calca will end, and a new one, a new world per se, shall supersede it. A world heralded by the world's successor. One of you lot.
this is all to become God, because the world is dying.
An apt assumption. With misfortune fast approaching, my lord's strength is waning, falling to the wayside where it's being co-opted by demons and men who desire control based purely on their emotions. First fear, followed by sadness. Then it was apathy. Then it was joy, each viable in some respect, but with waning strength. It is doomed to be distorted by the heart of a demon.
But, hold up, you're the one who convinced that Nathan guy that he was some kind of messiah. You're the reason that the dungeon even formed.
My lord has heard enough. Alter, ego.
With a flap of his wings, a gust of darkness washes over the world and causes it to vanish momentarily.
It's so easy now. They've gotten so weak. I shall now take my leave. But know this, pathetic insects. My divine grace will be fortunate enough to grow. I, and I alone, shall supplant the world. So long as my dear champion continues to stand by my feet. We'll meet again shortly in your domain. Ta-ta!
And he vanished while the world reappeared, this time though, with an upside-down mask.
You lot once again. You're earlier than I anticipated. Nonetheless, before this dream concludes, I have a quandary for each of you. If given the chance, with the power to change the world at your fingertips, what type of world would each of you seek to create?
Fuck change. I may not like the current world. It's a shitty place. But I ain't delusional to think that I can do a better job. Everyone then looks to Q, who holds up one finger and presses a small button on the side of their mask. The eyes light up, and the voice box booms.
Red Epsilon here. A true Featherman stands with hope and fights to spread peace and eternal fortune to the world. Featherman Omega!
And Q crosses their arms, seemingly satisfied with their answer. One by one, the rest of the players all responded to the question in ways that I have completely forgotten. Aside from Desmond, who had no idea what was going on and just asked for his dead mom to come pick him up. He's scared. With those responses, the world, inverted, then replied,
Such repulsive answers. Same as before. Each of you are incapable of seeing true salvation, accepting misfortune and despair with open arms, embracing the pain and suffering that comes from knowingly clawing away at the pointlessness of hope. Remember those words, for it is the only future. Now, return to your realm, free of exhaustion.
Bringing us to Friday, November 21st. Here, Desmond immediately fumbles out of his bed and in just a t-shirt runs to Aki's room, banging on the door to confirm if the dream was shared, to which Aki, with a 1,000-yard stare, confirms it, marking the end of Desmond's introduction to this wild and wacky world of personas, much to Desmond's sorrow and the rest of the party's eventual hate. You'll see why later. As in December. The rest of the day then transpired as the party began to once again live life as ordinary high schoolers who were greeted by a test they did not prepare for. Ahem, hiya, cooler looking Zamen here. I just want to say that yes, I did give my players an actual test to complete. Things that were on it were things like Persona Trivia, random facts to be googled, and then Persona SC comprehension questions. It was more of a game show, honestly, and whoever got the most correct answers would get a little buff. Though this particular test is infamous because of an impossible question I gave my players. What is today's date? Yes, this was impossible, even though each in-game day I always started off by saying, today is, but like, the day did matter, and my players always kept track of what day of the week it was, mainly because all the NPCs/social links operated on a schedule based on the week. Here, you can take a look at this, only appearing during specific times and days, like the actual games. Yeah, all NPCs operated based off of that, except Skye. She would randomly become unavailable for some reason, probably not important. There were also times where Skye would actively seek out party members to hang out, disregarding her schedule. It was weird. Anyway, Aki eventually won the test and got a bonus to his initiative or something. I don't know, all I have written down is that they won an upgrade, and it's not specific, so shrug emoji. For the rest of the day, Felicia joined the theater club and hung out with Leon, though partially as a way to make sure he was fine after the whole Nathan thing last week. Desmond mostly did some bodybuilding, he was building up his social stats. Stallion ended up hanging out with Skye because they were setting up the Gula dance. Aki was again planning to hang out with Skye, this time to ask her to the dance, but oh well. Instead, he decides to just go back to the dorms early, but as he heads to the train station, he finds it cordoned off by police. Climbing onto a nearby car to get a peek at the scene, Aki sees over a dozen body bags lining the train platform. Naturally, this provokes a response from Aki, who wants to see the corpses up close, but Detective Aaron Sheffield appears and escorts Aki away, taking a moment to sit with the boy and try to put him somewhat at ease, by saying that he himself will uncover who's responsible for this for the sake of justice. But it's horrific that overnight, 16 people were killed simultaneously. Aaron's use of the word simultaneously caught Aki's attention, and he decided to head home via a taxi, and do a bit of research, looking for any potential missing persons cases or anything that was reported in the past few days. But he finds nothing. No reports, only the outcry of people sobbing at the recent deaths. It strikes him strange that these 16 people just showed up dead without anything preceding it, and then he remembers what happened with Nathan's dungeon. When people had been kidnapped and brought into the dungeon, they were more or less removed from existence without anyone noticing or being bothered by it. The same thing must be happening here, and then he makes another breakthrough. 16 corpses, 16 people, 16 jokers. When Jester attacked, the Jester is taking people and turning them into jokers. Which does bring the day to an end, as the party's night actions were actually just talking to each other about the current state of affairs. Now, Saturday. The party gets a call from Joe, the journalist who Felicia befriended and who was then invited to live in the empty airplane hangar. He's got big news. Yo, huge development. I got a foosball table. Someone just left the thing out on the corner. It's crazy how good of a find this was. Huh. That's cool. Good for you. Is that all? Nah. The door you guys told me not to open, I'm starting to hear noises from it. That's all. I haven't gone to go look. thought you should know. The party quickly arrives with their new ally Desmond in tow. They quickly have to explain the whole kidnapping and try to kill them, that whole dealio. Naturally, Desmond isn't quite sold on the whole keeping a guy bound and chained up in an airplane hangar, but he does relent as this is bound to tell him more about the whole persona and world situation. Approaching their captive, the party finds Nathan to be very agreeable. He's not trying to hide anything since he knows how powerless he is and that he's already lost. So they ask him, how did this start? Where did he get the dungeon from? So, about a month ago, I wake up one night to the sound of a bell ringing, and everything is just green or blue, or it's got this weird color overlaid onto it. The sound's coming from my window, and there I see a person wearing a weird mask, like from a kid's show or something. Was it a red Featherman mask? No, it wasn't red. I saw Featherman Red Epsilon later. Was it a white mask with a black crown? Like that jester guy? I think it had a crown. The masked person then said something to me, and the bell shook again. Everything went white, and then I was on an empty island, under a really, it was a weird but very pretty sky. The sun was blue and the sky was yellow. So that was how your dungeon was created. But when we went there, it had a ruined city, a volcano, and space. That stuff was created by the angel. He appeared after I got to my other world and said it was my other side. That together we were going to create a new world, one powered by the energy of the old, and the new world would be a place to my liking, where no one would ever be alone again. Then again, that thing did claim to be my eternal guardian, which at least now I know is bull. He didn't do jack when I was throwing down with you guys both times, so it's a liar. I don't think the angel fighting me and Leo while you ran away counts as a fight you were in. That's not what I'm talking about. I know we fought twice. Once when I was with Canopus, the blue thing, and then another time with Polaris. Wait, what is Polaris? No, I know I saw a red Epsilon twice. I know I did. That guy points to Desmond. He's the guy in the Featherman mask, right? You fought that other thing, Polaris, by yourself. No, bro, no, I just got here last week. I have no idea what's going on. Huh. My memories are so hazy. I know I saw all of you, but actually, yeah. During the second battle, it was just the Featherman. I suppose this would prove what the world said to be true. Yeah, it called the Featherman guy a fool, and said they killed demons, one of which was called Polaris. So you, the Featherman, did cleanup, and that must be why Nathan woke up just now. That is our best assumption. And now we need to know more about a certain bell in possession of our former associate, the Jester. Acquiring that bell would improve our understanding of this entire situation, and would likely quash these dungeons before they could ever form. I'll need to make a plan of some sorts. Yeah, that's important, but we're better off trying to figure out who Q is. They clearly know who we are, and they seem friendly. And they probably know a lot more about this than we do since they're cleaning up for us. So you're just gonna have your strategy meeting while I'm still strapped down. My guess is that they're probably someone like us, in school and junk, since they weren't that tall. And they're probably obsessed with that Power Ranger show. Plus, they're hiding their voice, probably cause it's a voice we have already heard. That stands to reason, yes. Thank you, Stallion. So that means out of everyone, it could only be Leon, Leah, Popadon, and Cameron. Am I missing anyone? I don't think so. The police officers, Aaron and Amelia, are too tall. Same for Joe. Yeah, and Old Man Winchester's too broad to be the skinny little Q. Correct. There's no one else who could possibly know us, be around our age and our height, and be a fan of Featherman. Absolutely no one. So it must be one of those four, though we do have to rule out Leah and Leon, since we did see... No, wait. Hugh vanished after saving Aki and Nathan. Only afterwards did I find Leah. So that's our current mission. Figure out who Q is. Easy. With their impromptu strategy meeting finished, the party undid Nathan's restraints and told him to get lost, which he did, ending his story, and beginning the next week of snooping and investigation, as the party tailed behind each and every one of their suspects, trying to see if they did something strange or unusual or Featherman related, but alas, nothing really came from it. Oh, and I should mention that at some point this week, Desmond and Leo bought otherworldly items from Skye, namely a bunch of shards, those magical crystals that can only be found in the other world. Leo used those to make some more bullets for himself and Felicia, while Desmond used them to get a taste for item fusion. As you see, Desmond came to live in Lucia's former dorm room, where under the bed was a few weapons, namely the War Crime, a modified Amazon flamethrower that was created by Igor back in episode 2 of this series. Desmond, taking that weapon, a couple shards, a few chess pieces, and some trash he found in the fridge, slaps it onto Igor's desk and demands he fuse it, resulting in the creation of the Atrocity, a disgusting weapon that spewed toxic black flames. And one more noteworthy event that occurred was with Aki, who managed to find Skye on a Wednesday. She was out in the city eating at a ramen restaurant. There, he, who was ranked 6th with Skye, decided to go in for the romance route by asking Skye to be his date for the upcoming Gula dance. And he was met by a rather strange response. Skye's expression darkened, and she responded by saying, "I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I hope you get them right. Number 1. If you could change the whole wide world, would you?" Yeah, I'd change some things. It'd be close to the same, but I'd change stuff. Huh. Thorns. I see. What does this have to do with me asking you out? Question 2. Would you ever betray me? No, I wouldn't. I trust you. Of course I do. There's nothing that could ever make me not trust you. Please understand that. Question 3. Do you think I'm hiding something? No, not for a second. I think you're exactly who you present yourself as. A really cool person who likes Featherman but is hard to get a read on. Did I pass? Yeah, just barely. And she hugs him, agreeing to go to the Gula with him. Which, wouldn't you know it, brings us to Friday, November 28th, the day of the Gula, the Halloween makeup dance. The cast arrives and they're all dressed up in unique little costumes that I have all but forgotten, but I do remember that Skye went to the dance dressed as a pink Featherman, despite promising Stallion that she'd coordinate costumes with him. Girl's a little too obsessed with Featherman, but what can you do? It's here where the party just has fun. There's no world-ending stakes or life-and-death threat. It's just teens having fun with their friends, making stupid conversation, dancing silly. Leonidas gets to dance with his girlfriend Leah. Aki and Skye share their own dance. Felicia and Stallion just goof off. And the new guy Desmond ends up approaching Clopidon, the student council president who's pretty down. He was gonna ask Skye out, but Aki beat him to it. It's here where Desmond just cheers the guy up and proceeds to adopt the introvert, taking him over to Cameron, and the 3 boys just have fun hanging out, building up those 2 social links. Alas, it is then interrupted by a sudden crack of thunder that cuts the lights to the gymnasium. Outside, a sudden storm has begun to form, for the sole purpose of raining on everyone's fun. Quickly, Skye then yells out, "Oh, I know where the key to the fuse box is. I'll go grab it and switch on the thingies. You guys just chill and make sure nobody leaves. Then running out. The party just laments their poor luck and tries to keep everyone calm, when they then notice a harsh white light that is gradually growing bright in the center of the gym. In the beam of light, a figure starts to emerge, a translucent, radiant, and shining angel with black wings. Mastema.
Insignificant insects, allow me to congratulate you on your incredible fortune. All of you have been selected by my champion to serve a higher purpose. The barrier between this world and the other grows fainter and fainter between each failure. For that truth, you may thank my presence. It is also due to that fact that each of you has been drafted as a pawn in the war for change, a cause of true providence. May all of you enjoy an eternal slumber.
At his words, Mastema's black wings then enveloped the whole gymnasium, including the party, eclipsing all of them in darkness. Each member of the party floated in an infinite black abyss, until after a seemingly endless amount of time, they were approached by a blue butterfly that spoke directly into the minds of each of them, simultaneously saying, "I am a dweller in the rift between consciousness and unconsciousness of all souls. A terrible misfortune has been thrust upon you, dear outsider. I cannot interfere directly, but I shall aid you so that you may find your footing and confront the usurper. Please, allow me to ask you 3 questions. There is no wrong answer. I only ask you to speak truthfully. Question 1. Your allies have turned against you. Friend has become foe. You stand cornered before them all. What actions do you take? Question 2. 3 paths stand before you. One is a path of thorns. Hardship lies ahead. Many things will change, yet it's a conclusion that holds the possibility of fortune. Another is a path of mundanity. Nothing lies ahead of this path. In its conclusion, you will stand in the same spot you stood before. The final path is a path of control. Struggle ceases to be. Change will occur once, and only once. At its conclusion lies the stillness of peace. Knowing these options, which action do you take? Question 3. The Fool, the Jester, the World, the Empress, the Justice, the Lover, the Judgment, the Sun, and Death. Among these, which do you choose to stand with? To which the party answered the following. Pause the video if you want to take a look at it. I'm not gonna read out all these at once, it's too much. At those answers, the voice let out a sigh of relief and said, "Good. Remember, I am you and you are me. I shall always watch over you from within. Farewell." Simultaneously, the party opened their eyes, finding themselves all lying on the ground of an altered gymnasium. The gym was split apart and now resided in a sprawling web of darkness, with different pieces connected by bridges of pale light. Gathering their bearings, the party picked themselves up and realized that everyone from the Gula was gone. It's just them, meaning that Mastema had taken them. Additionally, the party also overheard the sounds of battle, the sounds of haggard breathing, heavy sword swings, and gunfire, along with a familiar voice calling out names like Apollo, Titania, Come, Moshuvu, Arise, Amon! Following the sound, the party traversed the altered gym and found it devoid of enemies because they were already defeated. The remains, the money, and item drops were everywhere. Someone had already torn through the place. So, when the party finally came to the center of the gymnasium, where the countless attendants all lied unconscious, there, bound by a black chain, seemingly as nothing more than cattle to be fed to the demon Abaddon, a living abyss who was locked in battle with Skye. and her persona, Apollo, revealing that Skye is none other than Hugh in a plot twist that somehow none of my players were able to figure out. They were genuinely flabbergasted that it was her, despite the fact that I think it was pretty obvious. You know, at their arrival, Skye looks to Aki and shouts, "Aki, everyone, prove to me that I can trust you all. Help me, come on!" To which the party joined the fray to tip the scales, because Skye's battle with Abaddon was at a stalemate. She was focused on protecting all the innocent people who Abaddon kept trying to devour, and when Skye had to protect them, Abaddon used that time to heal. On top of that, Abaddon can teleport, but with the party arriving, the group is able to work together to face him, spreading out across the arena to ensure that Abaddon never gets a moment to rest. Leo and Stallion target the behemoth's weakness to wind, allowing for multiple all-out attacks. Felicia continuously interrupts his attempt to heal with her bullets, while Desmond and Aki work together to rescue each and every captive, getting them to safety, with Skye adopting Aki's role as a damage dealer, hurling powerful magics at Abaddon and dealing massive damage with the sword that she wielded. In the end, Abaddon was eventually whittled down by their efforts, and Aki saw a moment to secure the kill. Rushing forward and throwing aside the teen he was saving, Aki summoned forth his massive blade, Atlas, onto Abaddon. Then running up the blade, he leapt off it into Abaddon's mouth, before summoning his persona Sherlock and unleashing a massive barrage of fire that engulfed him. But it wasn't enough, as Abaddon lived with a few measly HP, and proceeded to close its mouth, trapping Aki. Seeing that, Skye summoned Apollo once more and unleashed a massive Nova Kaiser. The miniature sun exploded on contact with Abaddon, and when the dust settled, 3 distinctive cuts appeared on Abaddon's body as they slid apart, and the demon was felled in 3 chunks. It also dropped some loot, namely a Vorpal sword that Skye promptly equipped. Oh, and Aki's still living body revealed itself. The darkness vanished as the gym segments came together again. While that occurred, Leonidas asked a simple question to Skye. "Don't try to hide it. You're the one the world called the Fool, aren't you, Hugh?" Yes, I am. I've been a Persona user since August, before any of you arrived. Were you ever gonna tell us, especially once we met you as Hugh? No. I wanted to stay separate, but I can tell that won't be happening. I understand you have a lot of questions, but they can wait. Right now we need to get back to being ordinary high schoolers. I promise you all, I'll explain everything I can on Monday, December 1st. The rest of the Gula's attendants eventually awoke, and the remainder of the event was cancelled due to a severe hailstorm that had somehow formed. For the rest of the week, the storm dominated the city of Downpour, and the party was locked in their dorms with only each other to talk to. As for Skye, she did not return to the dorms, having something important to finish first, but she promised that she would explain it when she could, bringing an end to the month. What untold secrets could Skye possibly know? Why has she chosen to hide her identity for so long? And does this girl possess the wild card? What is Mastima's goal? Is this Desmond guy even important? So many questions were raised in this installment, but above all else, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know in the last one from over a year ago, I said I would get this video out before the end of 2025, but yeah, super big lie, sorry about that. But listen, before the end of 2026, I will release part 5. Anyway, I must once again thank my good friend Dolly for the player character art, and I also want to thank On51 for creating the art we use for Skye. I have been a Zamen, and thank you very much for watching this video. And please, consider sticking around if you don't hate my voice. My sole goal here is to improve my writing, editing, and speaking as I go on. Goodbye.